Hi, welcome to Promo Insiders, an ASI media podcast that covers the issues that matter most to the promotional products industry. I'm Chris Ruvo for ASI, and today we'll be deep diving into one of the biggest acquisitions the industry has seen. I'm talking about the deal announced February 19th that saw top 40 distributor Boundless acquire fellow top 40 firm Touchstone. Here to delve into things with me today is Touchstone founder Derek Block, a member of Counselor's Power 50 list of Promo's most influential people, and Aaron Hamer, an experienced corporate leader who took over as Boundless CEO when the acquisition was announced. For sure, Aaron's appointment was big news in its own right, and we'll get to know him even better today. Derek and Aaron, thank you for joining me.
Thanks for having us.
All right, so I think one of the most interesting questions that came up after this deal is what does it mean for Boundless and Touchstone going forward? How is this going to propel both companies?
Yeah, thanks for that question, Chris, and thanks for having both Derek and I on this podcast. Happy to talk about our businesses and kind of why we think that this is a great opportunity for the people and for the customers that we both serve. Ideally, when you do an acquisition, you get kind of two puzzle pieces that just fit really well together, and that's how I feel about Touchstone and Boundless. We want to arm our sales and account management teams with capabilities that give them an unfair advantage, and this definitely bolsters our positioning. Kind of best in industry, warehouse and fulfillment. As of this week, top 3 in the industry: social media and online presence, merchandising and creative services that I would put up to rival kind of agency and retail brand experiences. True leadership and expertise in building online stores across multiple platforms, whether it be Shopify, BigCommerce, Brightsites, LMG, data security, international capabilities, business intelligence reporting, data visualization. Now, all that said, we can only go as far as our people will take us, and we have really exceptional talent throughout both of these organizations, both Boundless and Touchstone. Boundless has a really special culture, which has been a core strength of ours since day one and will be forever. And when we look at doing any deal, culture really matters to me. There will be many opportunities and requirements kind of in any merger or acquisition for the teams to work really closely together. And I want to make sure that people like each other, that it's an enjoyable experience, that the teams will gel and will mesh, and that the cultures are complementary, and that we absolutely have that in this acquisition. I'm really stoked.
What would you say, if I could just stop you there for a second, because that's an interesting point that we hear so much about, being a foundation for successful acquisitions is that kind of cultural alignment. What was it you'd say about the culture of Touchstone that kind of meshes, if you will, with Boundless?
Yeah, and it's for one, it's exceptional people, and that's a great foundation. It's a great start. It's people that have empathy, that have, a love for what they do, like the building brands and merchandising are core to the business, both Boundless and Touchstone. It is a company where people feel empowered to develop themselves as well. I think Derek has set a foundation for the team at Touchstone where they work on the business, but also work on themselves. It is a culture where people enjoy working with each other. We have a set of core values at Boundless, and one of them is embrace the fun. The idea being that there's work hard and there's play hard. We kind of recognize that we spend a lot of time working together, and we want to be able to enjoy each other while we're working. And that's definitely very evident at Touchstone, how much kind of joy and pride and kind of camaraderie that exists within that business. Derek, you may have some other perspectives.
Yeah, I mean, I can add to that. It was probably 15 or so years ago in our business that the recognition of talent and how to get great talent, what that means, we needed to become a destination employer, not just the job. So, we put a lot into our culture and the development of people, everything from platforms where people can go work on their finances, learn how to manage stress. But we really spent a lot of time and effort in culture and development of people, which is, it speaks for itself in the tenure of the people we have and the talent we're able to attract. The fun aspect of it, it's a fun industry. There's challenges at times like any other industry, but We get to work on great projects with some really exceptional clients and building an atmosphere of that. I mean, you can see it in every touch point that we have as Touchstone and that Boundless has, and the merger of those two things, that from the outset it was evident what a great fit it would be.
All right, very, very interesting stuff, and I think that really speaks to a great answer as to why this makes sense. Not just from a, hey, we're two big companies, let's get together. There's a lot of core foundational things that are lining up that seem to have this deal make a lot of sense for you. So it's obviously big news for Boundless and Touchstone, but it's given the stature of both companies in the industry, I think it's big news for the industry too. So yeah, is there a broader perspective you could offer on the deal? Do you feel that this deal has implications kind of industry wide? And if so, what are they?
You want to take that?
Yeah, it's hard for me to know exactly how kind of everyone else in the industry will perceive it and what the impact might be. Maybe I'd push that one back to you, Christopher, as kind of writing opinion pieces, and I'd be curious kind of what you think it might mean, and maybe I can comment, or Derek, on kind of pieces of that.
Well, Aaron, if being a CEO of Boundless doesn't work out, you have a future in law. That was a beautiful reversal. That was a question there. Yeah, I do think it has implications for the industry, and I think, and it kind of informed one of the questions that I think we'll get into here in a second. Is I think it's indicative of some consolidation. I think we're gonna see at the top end of the industry, and wedding of companies that are not only very good with creativity and on the creative and being able to work as consultants and agencies with clients, but also supported by a lot of technology, a strong technology stack. I think that's indicative of where things might be going in the industry. But kind of on that point, it kind of segues into the next question a little bit, which I had for you guys, is do you think we're going to see more of these blockbuster merger acquisitions like this? And for our industry, this is a blockbuster acquisition. So I kind of gave my opinion. I'm curious what you think.
Yeah, I can't speak for everyone else. I think your opinion, your perspective is really relevant, and probably the case. We've seen the top 40, and every year as you take the total revenue of the top 40 as a percentage of the whole industry be growing, right? It's showing that there is consolidation. There's names that were stalwarts on the list that don't exist on that list anymore because now they're part of bigger entities. So I think it's likely that they continue. But for us, the priority is doing the right deal and being the right home for the best salespeople, much more so than doing a blockbuster deal. But blockbuster deals, kind of as you call them, Christopher, that they can be transformative, especially when they're centered around combining capabilities. And that's exactly what the Touchstone deal has done for us at Boundless. For others, and things that we've seen in this industry and others, blockbuster deals have just meant kind of bulk and scale, getting bigger for bigger's sake. That's not a strategy interesting to me. One of the mottos I quote all the time for our business is that first we will be best, we'll be first. And so our big deal here is truly in service of our vision of becoming the best home for the best salespeople in our industry.
How about you, Derek? What do you think?
Yeah, I would add to that. I mean, there's a lot of dynamics that go into people that want to acquire businesses and people that are willing to sell their business, and that could be time for somebody on the sales side. It could be recognition that they're now at a point where they have to invest in real infrastructure. So I take that from a blockbuster deal or down to a smaller acquisition. I think when you look at, we were on both sides of it in my 28 years to this point of acquiring companies and listening to companies that were interested in our business. But I think those dynamics of, have we reached a point that we're going to have to invest real infrastructure? I mean, the systems in this industry, they used to be, used to be able to get away with lackluster systems, but the efficiencies that have to come, that's a big expenditure that somebody may be motivated to move at that point. They may be aging out. There's a lot of owner operators in this business that are probably, a lot of them have reached out to me on understanding what my path was and why was I interested in doing this deal. So I think there's a multitude of reasons why that there may be transactions happening. the size of them, range from small to top 40 distributors. But I think in the end, the strategy for that is there's going to be something missing on one end or a desire to do it. And if that marries up, then great. So I think you'll see it just like we have every year, seeing acquisitions, and sometimes it's a head scratcher, but when you get to the root of it, there's always a reason behind it.
Yeah, it's a very interesting take from both of you. It is because it's, even though it's these blockbuster acquisitions, I like to call them, that definitely grab big headlines. There does seem to be a fair deal of M&A starting to happen again in the industry at all levels. There was a lull from our understanding kind of at maybe the second half of 2023, but that seems to have picked back up now in a significant way, with a lot of deals of all sizes starting to be announced. And I think from what I've seen, for reasons that you both kind of indicate, everything from the need to scale to retirement to to just cultural alignment making sense, and we can make each other collectively better. That all seems to be factoring in a significant way. Which brings me to the next question, which is do you think that mergers and acquisitions will continue to grow this year in the industry? And I'm not just talking about the big deals. I'm talking about deals at all levels. And either
I think so. Time will tell. For every seller, there has to be a buyer, and if you're a buyer, you've got to find willing sellers. So it takes two to tango. But there's been consolidation in this industry for quite some time. I think all the things we've talked about are real, tangible reasons why there are real use cases for kind of M&A being the way that you address kind of succession planning. There's a lot of distributor owners that have the vast majority of their net worth tied up in their business, and they're at an age where they kind of want to do other things in their life. And the way that you can unlock that and have a monetization of all the hard work is through an acquisition. It's also harder and harder to scale, that we've been talking about, compete on larger accounts with requirements for like all the complex programs and data security. AI is going to be coming into our space, and the investment that's going to be required to leverage it, all the direct AI APIs, punch out integrations. It's just a lot of reasons why it makes sense to put kind of larger organizations together that can leverage the same kind of significant investment in technology and resources.
Makes a lot of sense. Makes a lot of sense. Derek, you kind of spoke to this already a bit, but just anything to add on this one?
Yeah, I mean, the answer is, yeah, I think there's always going to be a healthy market of acquisitions. I think the pressures from the outside world, whether it's COVID, whether it's, somebody reaching a ceiling on recognition of, is my brand position, does it matter to customers, and am I able to win? I'm friendly with a ton of people in the industry. I was always really wide open with other distributors on collaboration on what's happening in their business and in ours, because I thought the world is big enough for everybody to eat. So I get a lot of interaction with a lot of, I would say of all sizes, owner operators, that I talked to one last week. They've reached a point where they're not winning business, or they're losing business because they're not sticky. Selling a product at a price without a real value of, can I add strategy to this, or can I execute in an elevated way, or my system's efficient enough? Do I have fulfillment services? So you reach the ceiling of, oh no, I've kind of recognized who I am. Can I be part of something bigger? Because their pathway to success, ultimately, are they making more money and growing? In their pathway to success, there's many that get to a point where they recognize being part of something that has an engine behind it. They can still recognize their financial goals by being part of something, and the mystique of being an owner operator and everything that comes with, from hiring talent and retaining talent to investing in systems or up-leveling what you mean to a customer. Those are all huge initiatives that I think a lot of people at the kind of smaller level will get to a point of recognizing what's next for me and who's the right fit out there to go be part of. I know for a lot of years, probably for the first 10 years, that's what I was thinking.
Okay.
Like, we've got to really invest here and retain people. And so I think there's an opportunity for that. And you know, there are some good bigger distributors out there that have real infrastructure that I think that market's always going to be right.
Okay. Very interesting insights. Switch gears for a second here, kind of back to the Boundless Touchstone deal in particular. Can you maybe peel the curtain back a little bit and just give us some sense of how the deal came about, how Boundless and Touchstone decided to get together? I think some people might find that interesting.
Yeah, you know, kind of on the path I was talking about, being, you know, friendly with a lot of different people. You know, whether you're a competitor or supplier, you know, it's a great network of people to get to know. And I built a relationship a long time ago with Boundless, got to know Jason Black back in the day, and just stayed in touch. You know, sometimes it's talking about what's happening in the industry. Sometimes it's talking about what you did in systems. So we stayed in touch with Boundless, and, you know, as the deal kind of started to come together, yeah, I'd gone through 28 years of building a business. It was, for me, just kind of getting to the right time to consider it. You know, and when you have friendly dialogue, that can start to take on a different path, and it did. And you know, important thing for me was really the people, and what was going to be the path for our people, our salespeople, our account managers, and where we're going to be able, were we meaningful to somebody else, the brand position we built and the go-to-market strategy, was that going to be able to continue in some capacity, right? And even evolve and grow. And Boundless is a special group of people. They're like-minded in the way that we were operating our business. They were very sophisticated around their strategy on systems and how that integrates and plays a role. And then on the services that also come along with that. So there, you know, what I would say is there's very few at kind of, you know, our size, scale, and sophistication of thinking. There's very few that are the same in thinking. There's a lot out there that are a product at a price and commodity, and we just have a unique brand position and strategy, and that alignment with the special group of people on the Boundless side made it a natural fit.
Got it. Interesting. Well, thank you for that. That's a really pretty, I think, comprehensive look into how that came to you. It had interested me, from being familiar with both companies. Just from what you told me, that kind of confirmed some of suspicions would be the wrong word, but my assessment of how it came together. That there was these things, that there were similarities, that there was executive brains meeting kind of at the top level with how to go forward in the industry and how to distinguish. So it's interesting to have that insight. Want to pull the camera over, so to speak, to Aaron right now, because Aaron, you are the new CEO of Boundless. That was some of the big news that came with a word on the acquisition, and you know, I know you've been kind of working with Boundless for at least a couple of years now, and I was hoping you could just tell us a little bit about your background, kind of your involvement with Boundless to date, and then just some of your top goals for the company. You know, all in 30 seconds or less.
No pressure. Yeah, thanks for that. I have been working with the business for a couple of years. Been getting to know the exceptional team that we have. Most recently, I've been an operating partner, working within the portfolio at one of the investors of Boundless, called Treaty Oak Equity, and previous to that, I was CEO of a Canadian produce business called Highline Produce. We grew and distributed mushrooms of all things, culinary mushrooms. I get that question now every time, or that strange look when I say mushrooms. The white and brown mushrooms,
not the psychedelic kind. We're clarifying. Yeah.
Someday maybe. Those businesses.
Well, you never know. It's how things are coming. Cannabis has made a lot of headroads, so
it certainly kind of laid the foundation for what might be next for mushrooms. But we sold across Canada and into the United States about 30, 40 million pounds of mushrooms, 2,600 people. And so my passion is around helping organizations grow and scale. And that's really exciting given the incredible foundation that we have at Boundless and Touchstone. And so you asked about key priorities. Kind of one is a little bit what we touched on earlier around the aging demographic in our industry, and working on rolling out kind of a simple to understand turnkey solution for sales reps, kind of anywhere in the ecosystem, and small distributor owners who want to retire, who want to monetize their investment they've made in their business. And so if you have expertise in a specific industry or geography where you have a single or handful of large customers, we want to have a conversation about whether our program could be the right fit for you, right? Like, and that program that we want to roll out is working together to hire the right account manager, or promote someone already on your team, pay a meaningful cash up front, purchase any inventory that exists, kind of pay you a commission for a transition period, pay you a royalty for a period of time, and then kind of you're able to stay connected, make sure that your customer gets transitioned really well, that you feel really good about, the incredible relationships that you as a distributor owner or sales rep have made with your customers, still help out with QBRs, big projects, kind of ensuring that there's alignment around customer retention. And then if you'd like, we have this other kind of path where stay connected to the industry and help us go hunting in your specific industry vertical or geography, get trade show allowances, samples, travel allowances, kind of get it, and then get a royalty around biz dev. So, allow people to really, who are excellent at selling, just then kind of focus on selling, know that the day-to-day of the key accounts that they have are well taken care of, that they got monetized and paid for it, and kind of go and enjoy all the other things they're doing in the industry. That's a big focus. We think there's a lot of opportunity to offer something to the industry that's been really hard for people to figure out how to kind of take that final step with all the things that they've done and built over their career in our industry. So that's one. Two, we're working on some really neat offerings for stores and store technology that easy to build, easy to maintain, quickly render logos on thousands of items, kind of combine inventory, decorate on demand in the same store. And in some cases, given our capabilities, the option to fulfill decorate on demand and inventory items together, we think kind of that wholesome offering around store technology is unique, with a very kind of high quality retail look and feel to it. And we're working on kind of further blurring the line between merch distributor agency. Kind of the brand EQ solution that Touchstone has developed is incredibly compelling. What calling shop merchant ops, which is our way of delivering kind of best-in-class solutions for e-commerce and stores, the promotional products, merchandising, and warehouse and fulfillment to our customers, is something that we're excited to continue to make broader and create even deeper relationships with top customers in our industry. And then kind of finally, I'd say we're working on a really compelling back-end office that makes life simpler and easier for salespeople. Better and more efficient order processing, more integrations with suppliers, better reporting, all while, and the key is kind of understanding that we need to let our salespeople be as creative as they have to be in order to win business while servicing their customers. Like that's really difficult to do, that really efficient back-end office, and allowing salespeople to be as creative as possible to do all the wild ideas that they come up with and be able to execute them. And so that's all in line with our mission of being the very best home.
Right. I got it. And I get my take is that the goal is to have all that wrapped up by next Wednesday. I would think, right? Yeah. Yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot. So you could definitely say that there's not a lack of ambition for Boundless going forward with what you're looking to bring. So very, very interesting stuff there. Derek, I wanted to ask you though, what is your role going to be going forward? You're maintaining some presence with the business. Will you have a finger on it still, or are you kind of exiting out slowly? What's the deal?
Yeah, I'm a bit of a fossil in this industry with 28 years, so there's a lot of experience that I have to lean on. Some of that navigating difficult past and making wrong decisions and then ultimately making right decisions. So I'm here to help Boundless execute their vision. I'll be around. And, largely I think what's been happening is I've had a lot of reach out from reps in the industry and business owners in the industry that are, hey, why did you do it? What's your path? So I think that part of it's going to naturally fill a lot of my time. Okay. And really finding out what those businesses are about or those individuals are about and expose them to why I joined Boundless and why it was the right move for our group. So I think that will keep me busy, obviously knowing all the suppliers as well. And, we built a special go-to-market strategy, and being a visionary of that, which is probably more of the stuff I love doing. There'll probably be a lot of that storytelling. We say in Touchstone that, we created a ton of disciples of building real strategy and design, look and feel into what we're doing just to be able to deliver at a higher level. So I think that transfer of knowledge is something that I'm passionate about. So I think, those key areas. But I do think a lot, and I've had a lot of outreach already from owner operators, reps that are kind of getting to that decision point for one reason or another. And, there's a good path and a good story of what I did and why.
Okay. All right. So suffice to say, you're not retiring to South Florida just yet to sit on the beach.
I'm not an idle guy.
Yeah. Okay. All right. And I believe please correct me if I'm wrong. Touchstone will maintain its name and branding, or does that come under Boundless umbrella now? What would be like the go to market there?
Yeah, like right now everything is as status quo as is. We think there's a lot of value and worth a lot what they've built at Touchstone. We've done other acquisitions where recently over the last few years that are still going to market with the branding that they were when we acquired it. We have a lot of kind of distributorships that we've acquired over the years, or sales partners that have their own business today that go to market as a whole number of things. Our goal, our vision remains being the best home for the best salespeople. And if those salespeople believe that there's a value to being in market as Touchstone, as Promo Advantage, as whatever or organizational name they want to use, we're in business to support it. Over time, things may change. We may have different decisions, but right now we are we're going down that path.
Makes sense. All right, pull the lens back a little bit and talk beyond just Boundless, Touchstone, in this deal. I'm just curious what you both think about how sales will go industry-wide, just kind of speaking on the distributor side of the business in 2024. Do you have any sense of where things are heading yet this year?
Let's give him the lawyer answer again.
Yeah. What do you think, Chris?
Yeah, I'm happy to chime in. There's a lot of factors that influence what happens in promo spend. Stuff we just went through COVID, and could it be something like that? It's an election year. There's wars going on, so there's a lot that can happen. The thing I'd say is that strong always find a way. The innovators, the hard workers, they always find a way. And I think everyone's got a story going through COVID. We didn't sell any protective equipment, and we grew 25 million in that year. So even faced in challenging times, there's opportunities to grow. So I just, it's a predictable thing of, whose story is going to be right, whose answer is going to be right. I think in every market, there's opportunity, and I don't see it as any different now. I do think the innovators that do it more efficiently have great systems. They partner with suppliers in a better way. They think outside of the box and how they're doing business, and having that spirit and innovation. Those groups will do really well. So I think it's same as usual. For some reason, we look back and reflect on 24, we're going to be like, that was a catalyst to good or bad. But I don't think it's going to change any from what it's been.
All right. Interesting. How about you, Aaron?
Like our business, we're having a really great Q1. We had a really good Q4. I think there's optimism. We're expecting this to be a good year. As Derek said, there's kind of so much both macro and microeconomic factors that influence one salesperson, one distributor, one sector of the industry versus another. I think there's a lot of transformation. There's a lot of kind of reasons why the industry is at an inflection point. There's disintermediation happening with the imprints of the industry. There is consolidation happening that we've talked about today. There's a lot of kind of opportunities that will present themselves to the distributors that are doing the right things, that are kind of focused on kind of solving real problems and delivering incredible solutions to customers. And that's what we're focused on. We're really bullish on our business. I suspect that there's still some tailwinds kind of in the industry generally, more broadly, and would expect most people will probably have a good year. I'd expect the industry to be up, but we're really focused on what that means for Boundless, and we're really bullish on our group of salespeople doing really exceptional things this year.
Yeah, those are interesting. It's that both of you had very similar insights in that it sounds like, there really is opportunity. You used the phrase, Aaron, an inflection point for the industry. It seems like we are at an inflection point where some of those higher performing firms, those firms that can operate in a more streamlined fashion, that are able to attract talent, can capture market share. So regardless of what's happening with macroeconomic conditions or even, industry specific challenges, there's opportunity for those innovators and for those forward pushers to capture market share. And it sounds like that's right where Boundless wants to be.
You got it. That's exactly right. Yeah.
Okay. But last thing within that, and you guys have kind of touched on this throughout, but just, do you see any particular big opportunities this year? And I'm not just talking about from a Boundless perspective, though you're welcome to chime in on that, but just kind of industry wide, is there any big opportunities that Promo can capitalize on?
That's a big question. I think a lot of what I've already shared is relevant for that question. I think kind of aging demographics, consolidation, like it is going to all come to a head where there are going to be those that get probably larger quicker. I think we've touched on that. And I think that's an opportunity for those that want to take it. I think technology is the other kind of massive one with standards, with kind of all the other ecosystems being kind of created around NetSuite and other kind of interfaces and interactions between supplier and decorator, now speaking kind of similar languages, e-commerce, integrations with printers and decorators. I think those willing and able to invest heavily in technology, making those hard things easier because of integration, will be able to take kind of bigger share in the industry, and that's something we're very much focused on.
Yeah, I mean, the thing I would add to it is what's happening with AI.
Okay,
and I think the service providers that can leverage AI, whether they're doing a back office design service, it used to be for our designers on staff, if we were coming up with design concepts, just call it print designs, a designer would work on that, for a day, let's just say, to come up with a dozen or so different style designs. But now through AI, you can just leapfrog and just call it 80% of the design work there. So you're starting to see it, ChatGPT gives you a shortcut, even if you're going to come up with policies, standards, contract language, so those that are in tune with that and leveraging it, I could see that having a big influence on the efficiency and speed of responsiveness on certain things that, and I'm sure many are already taking advantage. I know we are, but the role that will play, I think we'll look back in 5 years and it'll change a lot. It'll change that. So I think the people that can be somewhat tip of spear and be calculated about it, I think it'll have a huge impact on our businesses.
Very interesting. Well, listen, we've been at it for over half an hour now. You've both been very generous with your time, and I appreciate you putting up with my questions and answering them as thoroughly as you did. Do either of you just have any final thoughts or takeaways?
Appreciate you kind of focusing this acquisition. Appreciate you giving us a chance to share our thoughts. It's been fun. Thank you, Christopher.
You bet, Aaron. How about
And
you?
thanks a lot, Chris. Really appreciate it. You know, what Touchstone is part of now is something really special. So anytime we have an audience to talk about that with, we're always grateful.
All right. Well, Aaron, Derek, thank you so much for joining me today. I had a lot of fun. This is a very interesting discussion.
Yeah, we'll see you on the road.
All right.
Cheers.
Bye.